Kojiki, the great serpent of Yamata. The god Susanoo no Mikado was cast down from the great heavens and came to the land of Izumo, to a place called Tarakami, which is on the upper part of the high river. As he was there, he saw a stream flowing through the river. He noticed this and thought, it seems that people live further upstream, and decided to head in that direction to search for them. Soon, he came across an old man and an old woman, who were sitting with their daughter and weeping bitterly. Susanoo asked, "Who are you?" The old man replied, "I am known as Oematsumi, the god of this land, and this is my child, Ashinazuchi. My wife is called Tenazuchi, and this daughter's name is Kushnadahime." Susanoo then asked, "Why are you all crying?" The old man wiped away his tears and said, "We had 8 daughters once, but every year, a great, terrifying serpent called Yamata no Orochi comes out and eats one of them. Now, this daughter is the only one left, and soon, the serpent will come for her as well." He then explained the reason for their sorrow. Susanoo, looking curious, asked, "What kind of creature is this serpent?" The old man described, "It is a huge serpent, with one body, but its head and tail are split into 8 parts. Each of these 8 heads has eyes that glow like red lanterns, burning with a fierce light. Its body is overgrown with moss, cypress, and cedar trees. It is so large that its body stretches across 8 valleys and 8 mountains. Its belly is always covered in blood and is a deep red." The old man described the serpent in a terrifying manner. Susanoo nodded and said, "I see." He then turned to the old man and said, "Since this is your daughter, would you be willing to give her to me as my wife?" The old man, uncertain, replied, "Your words are kind, but we do not know who you are." Susanoo revealed, "I am the younger brother of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and I have only just descended from the heavens." He introduced himself. Upon hearing this, both Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi were filled with awe and said, "I see. We are deeply honored. Then, as you wish, we will give her to you." Once Susanoo had received Kushnadahime as his bride, he immediately transformed her into a comb and placed the comb in his own hair, tying it into a top knot. He then turned to Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi and said, "You must chew the rice and make good sake in abundance. After that, build a fence around here, and create 8 gates in the fence. Within each gate, construct a small platform and place a large sake barrel on each. Fill each barrel with the good sake you have brewed, and wait inside." The two followed Susanoo's instructions precisely, preparing everything and waiting. Soon, the time for the great serpent to appear drew near. As Susanoo patiently waited, he soon heard the familiar sounds of the massive serpent approaching. Before long, just as the old couple had described, the great serpent, Yamata no Orochi, emerged, its 8 heads gleaming with fiery red eyes. It slithered forward. Seeing the 8 barrels of sake arranged before it, the serpent immediately thrust each of its 8 heads into a barrel and drank deeply, gulping down the sake in great amounts until all the barrels were emptied. Soon, its body became heavy with the effects of the alcohol, and it collapsed to the ground, falling into a deep sleep, snoring loudly. Susanoo, carefully listening to the serpent's sleep, decided that the moment had come. He drew his sword, the Tenketsu no Tsuka, and swiftly struck at the serpent, cutting its bodies one by one. As he cut through the middle tail, his blade hit something hard, and the tip of his sword chipped slightly. Thinking this was strange, Susanoo sliced open the tail to investigate. Inside, he found a magnificent sword, sharp and fine, unlike anything he had ever seen before. He recognized it as a wondrous weapon and decided to present it to Amaterasu, the sun goddess. After thoroughly slaying the enormous serpent and cutting its body into pieces, Susanoo called to Ashinazuchi and Tenazuchi. "Come and see. This is the result." Trembling with fear, the old couple approached and saw that the ground was covered with the serpent's blood, which gushed forth from the severed body and flowed into the high river, turning the water red. Susanoo, pleased with his victory, decided to remain in the land of Izumo with Kushnadahime. He searched for a place to build a palace, and after walking for some time, they arrived at a place called Suka. He said, "Ah, now that we have arrived here, I feel at ease. This is a good place." He then built a magnificent palace there and appointed Ashinazuchi as the head of the local shrine's officials. Over time, Susanoo had many children and grandchildren. Eventually, the eighth generation of his descendants gave birth to a magnificent god, Okuninushi, also known as Onamachi, a great and revered deity.